talk to me about the social media accounts, and then we'll come back to Massa because your
Yeah,
handle is the Really Tan Man, and I want to hear the
right,
story about that. And then I want to get into the story about seed oils, a
right.
bit of the history, and how they can actually really mess up our endeavors to be really tan men. So take us on a journey there.
Nice. Sure. Yeah. So I had a bunch of false starts on my social media journey over the years. Like I said, this occurred around 10 years ago. And I would say maybe 7 years ago, I started to know enough that I could feel confident like talking about it publicly. But I can never think of a good name. And I think that's like a pretty decent, signal or metaphor for when you think you should start something, right? If you don't have a good name for it, even if you have a good idea, even if you have all the positions in place, it's like something about like the universe is telling you it's not ready to happen yet. And so I could never come up with a good name. Tried a few things. Eaten with Steven was one of the earlier
Nice.
embarrassing attempts. There are a few others that we don't need to get into, but I was never able to figure it out until I was talking to a friend of mine who had just started making TikTok videos. This was in 2021, and he was telling me about how many views he was getting on TikTok, all this stuff. Like he was blowing up, virality was right around the corner, within reach for anyone with a cell phone camera, with an iPhone camera. And so we were brainstorming what ideas I could use for a name. And at this point, I was living in South Florida for probably 2 years, and I was just super, super tan. And I was tanning every single day. Of course, I hadn't been eating seed oils for many years at this point. I was tanning every single day. Naturally, I'm a little bit more uh, olive skinned, if you will, because
Mhm.
of the Southern Italian heritage. However, you know, it was definitely different than I am today. I was out there every single day. So somehow my friend just like blurted out like tan, like things that rhyme with man. I don't know, tan man. My ears kind of perked up, and I was like, oh, that's a cool idea. Really, tan man was available, so I took it, and then I started making TikToks about all the stuff that I cared about. I think seed oils were one of the hot button topics at the time. This is in 2021. And I remember getting into like these sort of TikTok video stitching fights
Mhm.
with this one account who kept just defending seed oils. And
Mhm.
in her bio, she's like a food chemist.
Mm.
And it's like, dude, you understand, like people watching this, like you understand that her employer is a food company that asks her to do chemical engineering to create fake flavors. And that's not even me being uncharitable. That's literally her job, right? And her title and her bio. I'm just like, this is so ridiculous. Why is this even? Why are people even getting credence to this? But it's true. People believe and people listen to people like that. So that kind of motivated me to keep talking about all this stuff. And eventually, I added an Instagram to the portfolio. A few months later, I started Twitter, and that was around the time when the idea for Masa also came about.
Hello, friends. If you enjoyed that clip, then you can watch the entire thing by heading to this link over here, or you can find us wherever you find podcasts by searching Radical Health Radio. If there's value here, please hit that like button. Let us know in a comment what your biggest takeaway was, and hit subscribe. Support the show as we support you. We'll see you soon.